to you all. Since I am located in Germany, in the beautiful city of Cologne, for me it's already late, so it's 10 p.m. in the evening. Yeah, Ottavio already introduced me, and as he said, I'm working for Opitz Consulting as a chief architect and integration evangelist. If I do nothing technology related, I'm a proud father of a son. I'm a passionate football, soccer fan and player. And in addition, I love listening to good handmade music, so heavy metal music, and also attending festivals in my spare time if there is any left. Today I'm going to talk about the topic of integration, and I put it into a title, so cloud native integration. So this topic is my passion since I started my professional career, because when I started my professional career, I directly started with implementing integration solutions and SOA-based architectures and using the Oracle stack. So we started with Oracle SOA Suite 10G and went all the way up until today to all the cloud stuff. And what I'm going to talk today is to share my my ideas how integration solutions should be built today, because a lot of things are happening today. So technology is evolving very fast, concepts are evolving very fast, and we need to keep track with that. And the way like we build integration solutions a long time is no longer applicable for most of the use cases because the parameters changed. So I made up my mind and thought, how should we build integration architectures today and solutions? So, and this will be the content of the next 40 minutes. And I will start with my vision. So first of all, what is integration? Integration ensures that the data is where it is needed, when it is needed, and in the form in which is it needed. So basically, we try to integrate systems data with each other. Heterogeneous systems with different data semantics and data formats we try to integrate. Sounds easy, but it isn't easy, like we will see in following slides. Integration for me is the key to modernize businesses and to establish new business models. So to get from a project-centric world, to a more product-centric application delivery model. Because integration solutions, from my perspective, helps to dissolve data silos and consolidate data. So some years back, we also talk about we have things like system integration, we have things like data integration. For me today, data and system integration are no longer disjoint, so they converge together. So there is no real border between those two disciplines, and they are depending on each other. And so dissolving the data silos is the key to also enable new technologies and concepts. So from my perspective, without a solid and consistent integration strategy, it is not possible to adapt modern concepts like machine learning, artificial intelligence, because for those concepts and technologies, you need rock solid and consolidated data bases. And this is something we can realize, we can build with integration solutions. And we also need to bring our old legacy world to the new digital world. So to bring those two worlds together, because in most of the cases we don't start on a green field, right? And we need to bring those two worlds together, because we cannot throw everything away what we've done so far. So we need to integrate it somehow. So the overall vision is that we are going to a business-driven, product-centric application world, as I said before, where we have digital products that support certain business domains. And the challenge here is to integrate the existing on-premise systems or standard systems. Maybe you also have some digital products already. You still have some monolithic applications where we will get rid of, or we need to get rid of those monolithic applications. But we cannot do this with a big bang. We will do that with a iterative approach. And also, in this case, integration helps us to implement this iterative approach, to go step by step and take function by function from the monolith, and maybe also migrate it to a microservice world, or replace certain functionalities with standard SaaS offerings and all that kind of stuff. But the baseline here is that we need to integrate all those different types of systems, and to make the heterogeneous IT system landscape more homogeneous. So this is the overall goal, why we need integration. So integration today, what we have is that we have integration solutions that are built upon a monolithic middleware solution. So like Oracle SOA Suite or Oracle OSB, those are rock solid integration platforms, perfectly fine for a lot of use cases, with a lot of connectivity adapters and all that kind of stuff. But the underlying architecture is related to Oracle WebLogic. So you need also knowledge about the underlying infrastructure, which from today's perspective is also not that flexible to address the dynamic requirements of the workload dynamics, of the amount of data which is flowing through a integration solution and all that kind of things. So yeah, we need something else. So we had mainly, as I said, ESB platforms and technologies to address integration concerns. And as you can see in this graphic, we have those integration services, which is really a small piece of code, because it's just about routing and transformations in most of the cases, right? But you also have this gray box here, and this is the infrastructure layer. So you, as a developer, you were always required not just to focus on implementing the integration logic, but you were also required to understand the underlying infrastructure, to leverage the infrastructure and use the infrastructure. This brought some kind of restrictions, because you are bound to certain technologies, because WebLogic or SOA Suite provides a certain set of technologies which you need to use to implement your integration solution. You are not able, or it's hard to use the latest and greatest technologies that are available on the market in those use cases. So it was some kind of smart, heavy to implement those modern solutions. So, and most of the time we build those integration solutions in a SOA style application architecture, right? and based on patterns. So this is a book from Gregor Hope, talking about enterprise integration patterns, and those those integration patterns are valid until today because they are not depending on any kind of technology, right? But in this slide, we see two things which we need to rethink. The one thing is the heavyweight infrastructure layer here, and the other thing is this, that we, in the old days, we just thought of system to system integration when we talked about integration, and it's more than that, than just system to system integration. But let us first talk about the ESB infrastructure and why I think that it is no longer capable to address all kind of use cases. So we need to rethink, and this is what we are doing within this presentation. So we have a bunch of new technology and concepts that requires to rethink what we've done so far. So we have all that cloud stuff which is around now. We have IoT workloads which we need to depict and integrate. We have big data architectures where we also have some kind of integration requirements which we need to depict. We need to address hybrid integration scenarios. We have serverless technologies which we can leverage for, especially in batch integration scenarios. And yeah, this shows the dilemma we have today, because those monolithic ESB platforms are not capable to adopt all of those things and cover everything what we see in this cloud of technology and concepts. Another problem, what we can see when we talk to customers is that, and I really like this analogy, which was originally from Lucas Gelema, this big hammer, so the enterprise service bus. So we tried to see a nail in each and every challenge in the integration space, and we took our hammer and we nailed it. So we were trying to solve the problem by just hammering, even if we have the screw, and it is not the best idea to work with a screw and a hammer, right? So we need something else there. And what we see today is that this monolithic complex infrastructure we have, which is have some problems in the space of scalability. So what we often see at customer sites when they implement, and it doesn't matter if it's Oracle Service Bus, it also can be other vendors, integration platforms like IBM or TIBCO or what else, is that you have one runtime where you deploy all your integration services to. So you are not able to scale integrations individually. And if one integration has a problem, because the load, for example, is too high on a certain integration, this also influences all the other integrations, and all the other integrations cannot work independently. So this is a problem. We just have one JVM when we work with WebLogic and the OSB, and yeah, that's not the way, for example, how we can address IoT scenarios, right? Where we have a huge amount of data coming in and flowing in and needs to be processed. So we need something else. And integration is complex. I already mentioned we have different communication protocol, different data serialization format, different data structures. We have a lot of different non-functional prerequisites of the systems to integrate. So some systems have not 24/7 availability. They have different availability. SLAs, and we need to keep that all in mind. So we need to implement resiliency patterns. And also this is at some point, hard to implement with all those standard platforms we were provided with. And also the thing, data privacy security, a ESP solution was always also seen as some kind of, let's implement the security concerns also in the ESP platform. And we had one customer in Germany that was also putting a ESP in the DMZ for exposing the services to the outside world, because it's a service platform for exposing web services to our partners. And no, we don't want an API gateway. We have an ESP and we use it for each and every use case. So the big hammer again. And now from my perspective, it's our responsibility to solve those issues. Integration is multi-dimensional. So as I said before, we originally just looked into horizontal integration requirements. This means system to system, but we have also this vertical integration where we have different requirements. So this is all the stuff with respect to API-led integration, right? There you have synchronous integrations, and on a horizontal level, you have maybe batch integrations, you maybe have event-driven integrations and all that kind of things. So those are just 2 dimensions, but we also have a 3rd dimension, which is cloud, because you need to think everything. As I said before, we live in a hybrid world, so we need to have an integration platform which is capable to address the use cases, or which is capable to integrate both on-premise systems and cloud systems, as we will also see in the following. Some architectural considerations, requirements to modern integration solutions is that we need to come to the point that we need less expert knowledge when we implement integration requirements. And this was the case before with those middleware platforms we had, because you need the specific knowledge about the platform, about the runtime and all that kind of stuff. So this was a huge investment, because it was a lot of learning about a complex stack. And this is also something which scared people away from implementing those solutions. You also need the flexibility to choose a proper state-of-the-art technology to address a certain concern. You need to address dynamic workloads. You need unlimited scalability and efficient resource consumption. These are the requirements for modern integration solutions. And when you think about architectures, and at Opitz Consulting, we thought of a few postulates when we defining architectures, on which basis we build these architectures. First of all, sorry, the world is hybrid. So we always have to keep in mind that we have on-premise and cloud, and not only one cloud vendor, but we will have multi-cloud scenarios in the near future. Nowadays, it is already the reality for some customers, but most customers, at least in Germany, do their first baby steps in the direction of cloud, and they leverage the cloud services of a single cloud vendor. But the future will be, and this is something which we also see in the market, that people look into different cloud vendors, also from a cost perspective, because some services are better and cheaper from one cloud vendor, the other ones from the other cloud vendor. So you have to keep that in mind. And from my perspective, if you build new integration solutions, those should adhere to cloud native principles, so 12-factor app and all that kind of things. Security is a first-class citizen today and should be in the architecture at design time already and not afterwards, because we don't have time for security. We will make it afterwards. This is something we like it was before, and this should not be the case anymore. As I said, we have horizontal and vertical integration directions. On a horizontal direction, we have asynchronous event-based integrations. On a vertical, we have synchronous API-led. And we also need well-defined, intuitive APIs which are driven by the business today when we do synchronous API-led integration. And as I said before, system and data integration are no longer disjoint disciplines. So let's go to the solution strategy. Sorry, I also have a picture. So this is the way I think integration solutions should be built today. So we have something like API exposure or API gateway. We have integration implementation that are lightweight, which are isolated from each other, and so they are containerized and are individually scalable and don't influence each other. We also see that some use cases can be perfectly be depicted with serverless functions. So this is also also an option. And last but not least, the Event Hub, which is a very central component for each integration platform for depicting a lot of use cases, as we will see when we talk about different flavors of integration afterwards. Yeah, we have a technology overview, and I tried to put the Oracle Cloud technologies into different tiers, which we see in integration solutions. So an integration solution have an API exposure tier, a service implementation tier, some kind of persistency tier, and a platform tier. And all those tiers, oh, sorry, too much talking today. All those tiers are defined by capabilities. So, for example, on the API exposure, we have a capability which is called authentication authorization, or rate limiting, or OWASP 10 protection. On the service implementation tier, we have capabilities like transformation, like routing, like validation, and all that kind of stuff. And what you need to see is that you address all the capabilities on the different tiers by certain technologies. So at this point, I spared out all the capabilities, but I tried to integrate all the technologies delivered by Oracle, or the Oracle Cloud services. And in the next chapter, we will also go over some integration flavors, and we'll talk about those services and how they can be used in more detail. So before we get into this, I also wanted to state that you may have heard of something called Kubernetes. And I think that Kubernetes is also a basic runtime or platform component for modern integration solutions, right? To implement your integrations, if you implement cloud native integration solutions and run them on top of Kubernetes. So let's go into some use cases or flavors, like I called it. I said integration is multidimensional and complex. And we already mentioned that we have API-led integration, we have event-based integration, cross-domain and inter-domain integration. We have closed apps and commercial off-the-shelf integrations. We have data ingestion and change data capture, which is a specific flavor of data integration. And we have SaaS integration. And in the following, I will show you how this can be depicted with the Oracle Cloud Solutions. So on a vertical API-led integration layer, we have we need to expose data from our internal systems to the outside world, or data from a SaaS system to the outside world, to our partners, to customers, and so on, and other consumers. And how can we do that? We have different consumers. We have an API exposure layer, which is implemented with Web Application Firewall, for example, for OWASP 10 protection. We have an API gateway for exposing the services for handling authentication use cases, for also doing rate limiting and all that kind of things. And we have our backend systems. And those backends can be implemented in a cloud native way. They also can be implemented in a API composition pattern. So if you expose a composed API service for maybe as a backend for front end, so for a mobile device or something like that, so that the mobile device don't have to be that chatty. This maybe can be depicted with GraphQL or something like that. And you can maybe also implement your backend functionality with functions. So from that perspective, the OCI service of interest is Web Application Firewall, API Gateway, OKE, so Oracle Kubernetes Engine, and functions. And the patterns that are interesting at this point is API Gateway, backend for frontend, API composition, and routing. Yeah, horizontal integration, as I mentioned, is on a cross-domain level. We communicate using event. And for inter-domain communication, we should use some kind, or we can use some kinds of optimized protocols. So what does this mean? So maybe not use HTTP, but use something like gRPC, so which is an optimized binary communication protocol synchronously. And also keep in mind, so events are first-class citizens like APIs, so they should be managed like that and described like that. Maybe with async API, which is the same as Open API is for REST APIs, to describe your message channels, to describe your messages. You also can use Avro or Protobuf. So on the API side, you're using an API first approach, and the same applies to event-driven architectures where you should do an event design first approach. If you look to what horizontal integration means to from an implementation perspective, we have two domains here, and those two domains are talking to each other using business events. So this guy here is publishing an event. This guy is consuming it and is forwarding it to the business service. And because of the fact that this interdomain communication is synchronous, we need to keep in mind, because it runs over a network, the network is unreliable. And so we have another pattern which applies here, and this is the service mesh pattern. So we also have to consider that we tackle those unreliable network errors or issues, and for this we can use the service mesh concept, where we can declare things like circuit breakers, back pressure, and all that kind of stuff, to not being required to implement those things ourselves in our in our applications, because this is something which is infrastructure code, and this should be declared and no longer implemented, right? So when it comes to closed apps and commercial off-the-shelf integration, we can implement that leveraging a lightweight ESB implementation, which offers also adapters for common commercial off-the-shelf systems. And what do we need to consider when we integrate those closed apps or commercial off-the-shelf integrations? Those applications often don't have an API. If they have an API, they have most of the time very technical APIs, and we don't want to expose those technical APIs to anyone. So we need some kind of translator in between. Maybe also those systems don't speak the same language, so we need some kind of protocol transformation and also data transformation. So how can we do that? We might have the use case that we need to expose information from our commercial off-the-shelf systems to the outside world, to our partners, to our customers, so to external consumers. So we have our API gateway consisting of the web application firewall, the OCI API gateway. The integration logic is implemented or can be implemented in a microservice style or in a cloud native application style, and run on top of Oracle Kubernetes Cloud Service, or Oracle Kubernetes Engine, sorry. And if those services or those commercial off-the-shelf systems also need to talk to each other, we can do that using the event hub. So if we have a data change here in this system, which also is interesting for the other commercial off-the-shelf system, then we just publish an event. This event is consumed by this guy, and this guy updates the other system, right? And those integration services can be implemented using lightweight ESB implementations like Apache Camel, for example, which is a very good framework for all those use cases, and which can easily be integrated with a broad range of microservices frameworks which are around these days. But we also have use cases for functions. If we integrate, for example, a object storage, and every time we put a new object to object storage and we wanted to update a certain system, we can publish a respective event to Oracle Streaming or something like that, and then it is consumed and the systems are updated accordingly. So this is everything about this closed apps and commercial off-the-shelf integration. Then we come to data ingestion and change data capture. is a very specific use case of data integration, as I already mentioned, because it's a one-way integration. Yeah, because we are listening to the database logs and capture every change in the database, pull that and push that out to an event hub, maybe Kafka or Oracle Streaming. And then we from that event hub, we can register different consumers to those change data events, so that the respective services systems can be updated accordingly. And I think this is also a very powerful pattern. And this can be implemented mainly. So we have here an autonomous database. We have Oracle Golden Gate, which streams all the changes from the ATP instance to the event hub, which then is consumed by our applications deployed to OKE. Last but not least, we have this SaaS integration topic. And SaaS integration is today also a very important thing, because it is also relevant when you wanted to extend a certain SaaS system. You need to do some kind of integration. You need to implement it. And you also have two main scenarios. So you have a cloud to cloud integration and you have a cloud to on-prem integration. Especially when it comes to on-prem integration, you also should have a communication over an on-premise API gateway and access your your on-premise integrations accordingly. And OCI services of interest in this area is Oracle Integration Cloud service, and then we also need VPN and Fast Connect for connecting on-prem and the cloud. Or you leverage, if you don't want to implement a API gateway on-prem, or you don't have an API gateway, you can also leverage the respective on-premise agent provided by Oracle Integration Cloud. And from architecture perspective, it looked like that. So on-prem, I depicted an API gateway. Here I put in Kong. Why? Because yes, we have Oracle OCI API gateway available, but currently we cannot distribute this gateway. So we cannot put this gateway instance or run it on premise. This was possible with the Oracle API Platform Cloud service, or is possible, but so you can also, if you have Oracle API Platform Cloud service, for sure you can also put the Oracle API Platform Cloud service here. But from a cost perspective, I think most customers will go for this open source thingy. And yeah, you have a SaaS system, you have OIC, and you have a service which wanted to communicate with on-premise systems and entering your on-premise world through an API gateway and integrate the data with the on-premise systems, even by directly talking to the cloud-native applications or talking to an integration service which publishes events or updates commercial off-the-shelf systems accordingly. So a lot of stuff. What I don't wanted to say with this talk is that everything was bad what we did so far. What I wanted to say is that we need to rethink. I hope this point gets crystal clear within my presentation. I wanted to motivate to bring the old and the new world together, and hopefully with the pattern I showed within this presentation, it gets a bit clearer what integration really means, how many different use cases, and the use cases or flavors I showed you are not complete. There are a lot of other challenges in the integration space which also needs to be addressed. But those are the ones which I was aware of, which are the ones which I see at customer sites when I'm at customers. Yeah. And integration is now more relevant than ever in a hybrid multi-cloud world. And yeah, with that, I think I'm mostly done. I'm not sure. Do we have any questions? Or have we
Hola a todos. Si tienes preguntas, por favor, déjanos saber. Okay, so far so good. No questions yet.
Okay. Then I think everything is clear.
Yeah, everything is clear.
But I also put my my contact informations there. So
we have one question. Sorry, go ahead.
Question. If you have any questions afterwards, if you wanted to give me some feedback on this presentation, or if you wanted to discuss some things, don't hesitate to contact me, please.
Okay, one question from Juan Pablo Gonzalez. Can I call a on-premise web service from Oracle integration using Oracle VPN?
Sorry, I think I didn't get it. So can I call a Oracle integration using Oracle?
A on-premise web service from Oracle integration using Oracle VPN?
I'm not sure about that. Currently, I know that if you wanted to call an on-premise solution directly from OIC, then you need to establish or you need to install the on-premise agent. I'm not sure if you can do it using the OIC VPN, OCI VPN. Sorry, it should, from my perspective, but I haven't tried it yet. Let's put it in that way.
Okay, Jorge Vega, what is the recommendation for integration? For integrate more than one cloud?
Integrate more than one cloud?
Like I have Amazon, AWS, and I'd like to use Oracle Cloud for somehow. Is there any good practice to integrate both?
As always, it depends on the on the systems that needs to be integrated, right? And where I run my integration platform. So in this scenario, you can run your integration platform in Oracle Cloud, reaching out to AWS, or if AWS, and I'm not sure about that, if AWS have a similar solution, so an iPaaS solution, so integration platform as a service like OIC, then you have to see if this is available, and where you implement it. A general best practice is hard to define here, because we need to look at the use cases, right?
Yep. Okay, we have one more question, because in Amazon we have the S3, that is Amazon Simple Storage Service. Do we have something like this in Oracle Cloud?
a this that's the opposite of S3 in Oracle Cloud.
Yes, if you do have, if you can,
Yeah,
if
we
your
have
Oracle has any kind of support like that.
support for connecting to S3.
No. Like if I'm using Amazon, I can use Amazon S3, right?
Yeah.
Given I'd like to move on my whole application, my whole environment to Oracle Cloud.
So a migration from Amazon to Oracle.
Yes, I have some similar service
Yeah, you can
like SN3 to Oracle Cloud.
you can use object storage at this point, Oracle Object Storage.
Good. Hola a todos, ¿tienes más preguntas, por favor? Es hora de hacerla. Si quisieras también meto en el chat. Ok, give once, give twice. Hey, go. Thank you. That was an amazing presentation, Sven. I learned a lot.
Thank you for attend. It was a pleasure to present to you all.
Okay, guys.